watch a fight with your eyes, you're watching with your ears too.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear, your eyes and ears are connected. Like in COVID, you see when everybody's mouth was covered, you ask them 4 or 5 times, "What did you say? What did you say?" Because we used to looking at people, and the same thing with your ears. If somebody is telling you something, then you probably, I'm not saying the announcers was wrong, but I'm saying that oftentimes where announcers favor a fighter, then the public starts favoring that fighter too. Because they get a little bit swayed by the commentary. So I think that that's what happened in the fight.
Um, how did you like the performance, and do you felt like the decision went the right way?
Willie wasn't scoring the fight. I thought that Ramos was up early. I thought he was like trapping Lubin on the ropes and landing some good body shots. Um, but I heard Ramos' corner say that he was up 6 rounds,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he started cruising. And I never criticized corners, but like that was a little bit counterproductive advice because it's hard to be pitching a shutout. Sometimes you get comparative rounds, sometimes a round is close and it's not going your way. I think they kind of told him to step off the gas a little bit too early. And he got a little bit complacent, and Lubin was boxing. You know, um, I have no problem with the style that Lubin fought. He's been knocked out twice. He's been hurt several times in his career. So, for people to criticize him, they just want to see him get knocked out again. Like they want to see him go balls to the wall and fight an action fight so they could tell him how much heart he got. But he's been knocked out twice doing that. He's been hurt several times. So he gets in there in this fight with this big, strong kid and he boxes. And then now, people are criticizing his performance. I think that the responsibility is on Ramos to make the fight. He's the favorite. He's the killer. He was walking Lubin down and then he stopped. So Lubin was doing what he wanted to do more than when Ramos was doing what he wanted to do. I'm not saying that the decision wasn't a little funny because 117, 111 is too much. I don't think Lubin, I'm a fan of Lubin's, but I don't think he won 9 rounds. I would have been satisfied with 7-5 or even a draw either way. But, you know, in your big first stage like that, you're a young kid like Ramos and you take that conservative approach. Um, then you know, it came back to haunt him. I also think that Lubin is a good puncher, and he hit Ramos with like a looping left hand on his temples, like side of his head, and Ramos' legs looked a little funny. And I think that you know sometimes a fighter can show you certain things about him. Fighters speak in prideful language, so he started acting like he was coming, but really wasn't doing that much because Lubin is heavy-handed.
Yeah.
He throws some really, really hard, sharp punches. And just walking up to him like that, you taking some shots. You look at Ramos' face after the fight. So I think that Lubin kind of disciplined him with his sharp power. Even though he wasn't trying to knock him out and trade with him, he was hitting him with some sharp little shots. And it kind of made Ramos say, okay, all right. So then, they kind of was acting like they had it in the bag. I'm in the gyms all the time. I see that. I see like an older fighter, right? He boxing a young guy, and the young guy get the better of him. So then the older fighter start acting like he working with him and teaching him something instead of like he really working. So he's like, yeah, man, when I throw my jab, you gotta catch it. And he act like he like training him while the younger guy is beating him up and kicking his butt. And I seen a little bit of that in that fight where Ramos was acting like he was walking Lubin down and like he was in so much control, but I didn't see that. What I saw was one guy boxing and one guy putting pressure, and I basically saw about an even fight. You know, um, I didn't see what the punch stat said, and I didn't see Ramos dominating. I do think he had a clear edge early, but I saw Lubin kind of like scraping his way back into the fight, and he really wasn't getting the credit for it. The fight kind of reminded me of Bradley Pacquiao 1 and Algeri Provatnikov. With Bradley, I thought Pacquiao beat Bradley, but Bradley was like scraping back in and he wasn't quitting and he kept boxing, and the judges favored him. And then Algieri, Provodnikov, the same thing. Provodnikov hit him with some big shots early, and then Algieri was just scraping back, and he was boxing. And when you boxing, you don't really turn the fight around like that with pressure or a big punch, so it don't get appreciated. But that kind of fight reminded me of that, where Lubin was just pecking and poking and using his jab and boxing, and the judges favored him. I think that Ramos is going to kick himself. He's going to be mad at himself. He's going to say, "Why did I step off the gas? Why was I so complacent? Why did I have like this privileged attitude? Like I had this thing in the bag?" You know, I think he felt some discomfort in there. That was his first time fighting a guy that's making him think all night long that he's not dominating. And that can mentally burn you out. You know, I seen him changing his stances. He was trying little things. Like he's a 22-year-old kid, and Lubin is a 27-year-old veteran that's been in real tough. So Lubin was making him think and making him earn it all night. And when you do that to a guy, you can kind of I don't think he broke Ramos, but I think he mentally fatigued Ramos. And I think that Ramos stepped off the gas. He didn't step off the gas for no reason. He stepped off the gas because it was easier for him to step off the gas, because dealing with those hard counters and all that boxing, that can kind of wear you out a little bit, and we can make up excuses later, but if he could have knocked Lubin out, he would have. If he could have walked him down and beat him up, he would have. You know what I mean? So, I'm not mad at the decision. I can understand why Ramos's fans think that he won. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was winning the early part of the fight pretty clean. But around the seventh or eighth round, I'm like, this guy not working no more. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if they're giving Lubin credit for the round. When I heard 117, 111, I was pretty sure that Ramos won because he was the A side and I thought he had a bigger lead. So I'm not going to say that it shouldn't be, that Ramos fans shouldn't think that he won, but I'm saying that he has to look in the mirror, him and his team have to look in the mirror and turn off the sound of that fight and ask themselves why they were so complacent in that fight. Why did they step off the gas so early in a competitive fight? Because I would like to hear their excuse also. I think it was because Lubin mentally fatigued him and he hit him with a shot that I think buzzed him and nobody picked up on it, but I picked up on it. It was a looping left hand around his guard, high on his head, and I seen Ramos' leg like go out from up under him for about a good 3 or 4 seconds. I'm like, damn, that shot bothered him. And the announcers, nobody seen the shot, but I seen it.
Hmm.
And I think it kind of turned the tide of the fight.
Yep. Towards the end of the fight, Jesus Ramos mentioned that Lubin had a great game plan. They asked him what would he would do different. He mentioned that don't let it go to the judges. Um, but in the same time, hearing what you have to say, it's very. I agree. Like I'm pretty sure if you could have got him out of there, you definitely would have.
Yeah, he didn't let him go to. He didn't. He didn't let. He was stepping to him, ripping hard body shots and trying to knock his head off with an uppercut. He
Yep.
didn't let him go. Lubin went to distance because he earned it. He didn't just let him go to distance. Guys say that, but you know, the fighters just speak in prideful terms, so I get it. But there was nothing. He's not friends with Lubin. His job is to hurt him and stop him and beat him up and 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 make it so that people are clamoring for his name and the big pay-per-view card and you get all of that exposure of the Canelo Charlo card. So he didn't let Lubin go the distance. Trust me. If you could have beat him and stopped him, he definitely would have. Going into the fight, he was a big favorite, and people thought he would stop Lubin. Like that matchup was made so it could be a good fight, but Ramos probably wins. That's what it is on paper, but it doesn't work that way on paper like that. So he definitely didn't let Lubin go the distance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.